Okay, I just wanted to make a quick video just to show how to use this RSD work environment. This was created in ARCGIS Online on the Assessor Hub, and I just want to run down some of the tools that are available here. As we go from left to right, you have, of course, your locator. So if someone working in the field, they could pinpoint where they were standing. An edit mode so that we can edit individual data for parcels. We have a measuring unit, so you can measure areas and or distances. This is a ability just to make notes on the map under draw. We can just make notes. This allows us to select large areas if we want to convert them. And then there's a filter, so we can filter down by specific areas in the map. If we wanted to show, for instance, all the parcels who wanted to opt in, we can do that once the data is collected. On the top here, we have a couple of things. Indiana septic guidelines you can find there if you wanted to go look at what the septic guidelines are in the state of Indiana. We have out here a legend that just shows, so we have this opt-in, we have a need to look up or yes. We can add more fields to this if we like different statuses. This is basically under our status area that creates this opt-in layer. We have some other areas here where there is a known hydrology data set from out there from water bodies of water, some other information from it. We have layers for well and septic location in area, both areas and in points, in case we want to show the area of a drain field or whatnot. There are a couple of RSD layers. The large boundary here is the red that we see. That's the one that is no longer used, and we'll turn that off here in just a second. Then we have some other RSD boundaries, and we'll go on down. You can see a couple of other pieces here, some other national data sets that are subscribed to, which we can turn these on or off. Let's go ahead on in here and I'll take a look. The basic RSD parcel layer is in yellow. The way that we turn that on and off is by indicating anything in the location. So anything in the location that might say yes, it's in the area, then it will be a yellow parcel. If not, it's a gray. What that does is it opens up the entire parcel layer so that if there were to be another sewer district, let's say over here somewhere or whatever, we'd be able to use this same map to manage it. So there's our legend. Going over here to the layer list, let's go ahead and turn off the old layer. So that was the original RSD boundary. So that's no longer used. Now what we're dealing with now is just these smaller areas around Americus, Colburn, and Buck Creek as 3 individual systems. But these are our layer lists. We can turn these on or off if there's information that's confusing to us or whatever. We can utilize that here and turn things off if it's collecting too much data. Over here we have an edit, a smart editor. Here we have a batch editor. This would allow us to add the same note to many parcels at the same time. So if there's we can just select all the parcels and say put yes on there, and then that'll give us the information needed. This pie chart shows us the types of soils that we're looking at here. So when we go down, if we were to go and zoom in to a specific area to where the parcel layer, where the soil layer turns on, then we can see the makeup and composition of the soil as it's passing. As we look down in some of these areas, we can go down and see specific to a couple of parcels and what that basic soil makeup is. This will allow you to make notes. There's another link to the septic information, but we can make notes about the soil types if we are familiar with these and what they're about, what one's more clay or silt or absorbency rates or whatever is needed. We can mark all those things down. There also is an analytics tool where we can use different layers on the map to combine them and take a look at the different sections that are on there. This might take a minute to load up. It's a little more advanced. I'm going to skip over it for right now. And then we have a summary area. Basically, this gives us just the parcel count, the total acreages, the average, so on and so forth. When we go down into the parcel layer environment and the work layer, we can see here that some of these parcels have some locators on them. One has a well this dropper and the poop emoji is where the septic tank head is. We could change these emojis if we want something that looks more professional, but I put these on here just to show that it's versatile. So let's take a look. And so a few of these have been set based on the permits. So a parcel like this, I can take a look at it, see if there's anything attached. There is no attachments found. Let's see if this one here. I thought one of these that I might have had an attachment on it already. Here we go. So this one already has the septic permit attached to it. Take a look at it. So you can see here, I was able to identify that the well was on this portion of the property. The drain field runs along here 60 feet, 50 feet. So that's the original septic permit. And then what I've done is I've drawn that information here on the map in the work environment. You can see that there's the well point that was shown, and then there's the well point location, and this is where the septic tank is at, and then the drain field was behind it. We can also draw in the drain field as a note. There's some information. I'll show you how to do that when we get into editing parcels. When it comes to editing parcels, we want to be aware of some of the things that are going on in the various areas. And one of these aspects is they were talking about the different sizes of the properties and whether or not they can accommodate a septic system or not. At first glance, you look at this area and you think, oh boy, these parcels are all too small. But when we start to notice that many of these are owned by the same owner. So turn this off. So going in here, I'm going to take a look at this one, and just the pop-up should tell us this is this Tippecanoe, and then we'll see, do they own this parcel? Yes, they do. What about this one? It's also Tippecanoe. Let's see here. Then there is another one. So these are all owned by the same owner. I do have some information on here. You can see that it shows the sizes, the acreage of the parcels. But again, this is the acreage of the individual parcel shape. Many of these can be consolidated. And I can show you actually how to redraw the lines. But getting started. Let's say that a parcel like this, I want to go ahead and click on this. Down at the bottom, you'll see the information we already collected. So total acreage is 0.26, and that's what it's showing us here. However, that is the total acreage of a parcel. So with the assessor information, I think that we might have some other information. So here, total acreage, we probably want to modify that because we think it is greater. Let's take a look. We could go ahead and use our measuring tool. I'm going to move over to the measuring tool. We're going to set it for area. So we're going to do it under acres. And let's just go ahead and see what this entire parcel looks like when we go to measure it. So we're just going to draw around it. He's got all of these parcels. Take a look at what we got here. Zoom out a little bit so I can see the whole thing. There we go. So that's 0.21 acres. Let's go. Let's keep going here. I'm just measuring. It's on down. And so 0.44 acres. So it looks like we probably have a little bit more than what's shown. So now if I wanted to correct that on the map, let me do the measurement one more time just to be sure. Let's verify that these are indeed the parcel that we believe they are. Let's see, Tippecanoe is the name. Tippecanoe. Okay, so he owns that. He owns this. Tippecanoe. Looks like he owns this. Okay, so Tippecanoe has quite a bit of stuff here. A few things we could do to correct this map and edit it in a way. And so one of the things, let's go ahead and start with this measurement. When I go into the measuring, I'm going to do it by acres, and we're going to take a look and we'll see. So maybe we would say that this is going to be, let's see how big from here to here. There. Let's keep going here. There we go. And so we'll say this is a little closer to 0.43 acres, not 0.25. Okay, so 0.3 acres. Let's clear this. We're going to go into click on the parcel. Get rid of the measuring tool here. So 0.43, not 0.25. So we'll go down these three dots, give us editing option. There's an editing option, comes up. And now you can see we have a pop-up window here to edit the information. What do we say, 0.43? So this measured acres is 0.27, 0.43. Let's say total acres is 0.43 because this is a combine. Okay, So add that. Now, if we were to have a septic permit, we can go ahead and add that in there. If these folks decided they wanted to opt in, we might start there. I probably would go through all these parcels and see who wants to opt in. And under yes, if we just change that to a yes, it will turn this parcel green. But let's assume here that this isn't one of the ones that wants to opt in. And we would attach the file. We would want to upload our septic permit, just bring it in as a PDF, and it would be stored there. Right now, we do have have changed where this piece comes from here. Let's take a look. At 0.25, we said it's actually 0.43. So let's go ahead and take that under our 0.3 total acres. And that's what it's giving us is our calculated acres. Now let's do this 0.43. And measured acres, let's say 0.43. That's completely in the district. Okay, close it now. At some point that when we toggle the map, that number updates. So now we have 0.43. Now you can see we do have these other pieces, these 0.25s, because there are duplicates in the database. So what we might like to do is go ahead and get rid of some of these parcels. And the way I'll do that, this extra parcel. Sorry, I'm still in the edit mode. I'll just delete it. Okay, do the same thing here. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to delete this. So what I'm doing is I'm just getting rid of these extra parcels that are not used here. We'll delete this guy, getting us down to where we just have the one. Delete. Same thing here. We'll delete it. Same thing here. Let's just get rid of them all. Okay, so we're left with that original shape that we had before. Here we are in the edit mode. And what we're going to do is let me close this piece too, because it's out of edit mode, but we do want to edit this. So what we'll do here is we'll use the edit tool over to the left. And it should break us down to where we can start to pull the shape around. Actually, we'll use the smart editor. Close this, just the parcels. Okay, throw that off. Get over here. It wants to know where we're at as far as our parcel lines. So what we want to do is take a look over there. There's our RSD parcel. That's the layer we're choosing to edit here. Okay, let's see what it wants to let us do. This would be if we were to draw a new shape. Let me get out of that. Get out of this edit mode. Come back over into edit again. Okay, so now we can see under Smart Editor, we've got these dots that appear on the parcel. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on these and let's just move this around. So we're going to take it. I'm going to fill that whole space that was the original location of all the other parcel shapes. Okay, so now we've filled this area with it. And let's just see what happens. Save it like that. Get out of there. Close this out too. Okay, we're going to refresh things. So now we can see 0.43 is assigned to all of these. The gray lines are the parcel line beneath it. So those pieces are just there for us. Let me get off of this and go back to our layer list. RSD parcels got turned off somehow. Now it's back on. And you can see the yellow is the RSD parcel. So that's what carries the data that we would use for our map. So now we just have the one data set, 0.43, okay? And then if we wanted to say, where is the well and septic, I would look at the permit and I'm just gonna add some here. People will see this later and they can correct it. But what the nice thing here is that we've got this RSD parcel. So now that we know the actual size of the entire piece, not just the individual shape, we can get a little better idea of things. And I don't have the permit for this one, but what I'm going to do is just to make some assumptions, like maybe where we think it would be, and we can always delete these later. So again, we're going to go back into our edit mode, You can see when we're in edit, it's asking us the different places what we want to add. So if I want to add, let's say, the push pin for where the septic location is, I could just go ahead and let's say it was out here somewhere. There it is. That's the point. I would title it septic location. All right, that's that. Go ahead and we'll just close that then. All right, so we got a septic location, and then we want to place the well. So the well location, we'll do the same thing here. Go ahead and grab a well point, and let's say that the well was over here by the house. There's our well point. All right. And same thing, we'll just go ahead and close it. Okay, so now I've got a well point located, and I have a septic point located. If we have some drain field information. So there's some other septic areas. Here we are at the septic location areas. So if we wanted to show, let's say, where the drain field was and it was showed to us on the permit, we would just go ahead and we could just draw in the area. So let's say that our drain field began here and it was all of this area. Okay, so now that's our drain field. All right, and we'll just call that drain field. Okay, so that gives us a drain field. Close that, and we can see we have our well point, our septic tank location, our drain field, and then what we might want to do here is go into edit, and we would want to attach, again, like we said before, go ahead and choose a file and attach that permit that would correspond to the information that we've drawn up here. Now, let's say that we went through all this work and the people said, I want to opt in after all. I'd like to opt in after all. So then what we would do is go into edit. Somebody wants to opt in, go into edit mode. And we would just go ahead and say yes here under status. That means that they want to be included. And we'll just close it. All right, and we can see now that when I zoom back out, now this parcel is green, so they're in the yes. So now we know that that's someone who wants to be opted in. Now, if we were to just go around on all these and click the opt-ins, we could do that, and it would turn them all green. Another thing I wanted to mention is when we're measuring things, if we want to know the area, we could also account for the building footprint that I've got in here. You can measure the buildings in terms of acres and just subtract that out from what's available. But here we can see they have pretty significant distances in a lot of these parcels. So they really can't accommodate their own septic tanks for the most part. Some of them are going to be in a little bit harder, like say a property like this, where they don't have as much distance to work with, not as much area for drain fields. They may be a candidate to want to opt in. And again, so an opt-in, I would just click on this. I'm in the edit mode already. Go ahead under status, put yes. Okay, I can just keep going like this with these, clicking on them, and then see it'll turn it green as soon as we're done. So this one, let's see, that is Casey. This one is somebody else. Okay, so that's part of the what we've got going on there. We can again locate wells and septic points, or we don't need to locate the wells and septic points, I guess, if we have we know they're opted in. Now, let's say we wanted to do a mailing, or we wanted to say, these people are a no or something, and they're going to be opted in. We want to mail them. Let's just focus on mailing the yeses right now. So when I zoom out, you'll see in this area, I've got 3 properties that I've indicated as yeses, and when we're done, or 4, I guess, here now. So what I can do is I can go and take a look at my data tab. At the bottom, there's a tab that can pull up. Pulling up the data tab, I can see that there's all the parcels shown on the screen. But what I'd like to do is just filter this down. Say we want to do a mailer just to those people who have agreed to hook up. Then what we want to do is we want to go in and we would go to our filter. I'm going to add an expression. Let's say here that the expression is, what did we say? We said status. So we're going to go down to our status mode. And I only want to talk to people who have said yes. So status is yes. Okay. All right. So now the data here is just those folks that have said yes. Then under options, I have the ability to export this to a CSV, export the data. There it goes. And there's my CSV. So if we wanted to do a mailing to these folks, There's our mailing list. We already have the owner's mailing information attached to the file, and then we can go ahead and send them. We'd be able to go ahead and send them a letter. There's our, bring this over here. There's my spreadsheet popped up with their information in it. Those of you who don't deal with key numbers very frequently, if you use Excel, sometimes you'll see the key numbers get abbreviated like this. The way to fix that is just to go in to format the cells. What I normally do is go ahead and call it a number with no decimals, and that should return our number to a normal key number. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close that, save it. But at any rate, that is kind of a brief, quick how do you do on this project. I would recommend from a project management standpoint to take whatever list you have of those who have opted in, or if somebody's going door to door, they can even edit these on an iPad or any kind of mobile device, telephone even, and they can say whether you're a yes or a no as they go on down the list, just by clicking on the key number and editing it. For field work, I probably would recommend that we would use a product like the field worker that ESRI gives to us, and it's free, it's easy to download. I just would have to create an account for that individual, and they could go ahead and edit and update this information by using collector or field worker, one of those files. So anyway, that's a way to do it. Also, this file, of course, could be done all the way to construction. So, when we start to see where the people who want it are at, and then maybe we can decide what land is available. Maybe this would be an ideal location, or maybe it's too close to the river we can see, or too far downstream. But this tool could also be used for planning. This guy looks like he has a few extra lots. Maybe there'd be a location for the septic treatment area there. So this could be done, like I said, all the way down to putting in the drain lines, or we would just update that with new data when it comes along. Because if we get away from this, we will see that the layers that are on here, we do have existing drain layers. So this would help planners go down, even looking at, getting into Lafayette where we have sewer systems already run. You can see where those lines are at. That's what these areas are. Gives us some of the information as to where these areas are already located. And as far as the map goes, the same map, any of these can be turned on as far as being included in the residential sewer district planning. So if we were to say do a project like this in another area, we would just use again just the same map and go from there. So any rate, if there's any questions about this, feel free to contact me, James Werner. It's just J. Werner, WERNER, at tippecanoe.in.gov. That will be glad to answer any questions. If you need any modifications made to the map, we can do that. We can add more fields in the edit category. But this should give a good breakdown, good reference for us if that's something that we want to do. Now, one thing I guess I did want to show is a batch editor real quick, just so if we knew we had an area where, let's say that everybody we talked to on a block was all interested in getting hooked up to the system. Let's say all these people here wanted in. What we would do there is we would use the batch editor, and you can see we hover over these. There's our batch editor. Okay, so it's going to ask us how we want to modify these. We want to edit the RSD parcel. And so we can just do a line. Everybody on this street, let's say everybody here said yes. I would just go through. It selects those parcels for us. Should. Let's see here. Get a good system here. Let me try it again. All of these, anything it touches. 0 selected. I might have to, maybe it's going to make me box them in. Let's say these parcels here. Oops. Try this one more time. Okay, so we have 5 features selected, and it brings up those editable areas. So now if I were to go in here and say status was all yes, okay, that's it, save it. Now all of these parcels are going to be now green from yes. So we can update these rapidly. You don't have to do them one at a time. If they're yeses, just block them in as yeses. I'm going to go ahead and change that again. So we'll go back to our selection tool, do through these guys again, because we're not sure if these are yeses or not. So what we'll do here is I'm going to go to status and I'm just going to leave it blank. Make it no. All right, save that. So as long as it's not yes, then we'll see that those go back to normal color transparencies. Okay. This is another status code here. So I wanted to mark all of these properties with something, do the same thing. I could just use like a zigzag line and say, I'm going to draw through these guys. All right. And status here would say yes. Off it, save it. Now those should all turn green. Okay. If we want it to be nothing, we want to start over with these, do the same thing. I'm just going to select them that way. And we'll say no. All right, now they're going to go back to transparent when the time comes. All right, and so our filter down here now, there's nothing because we have it still filtered to yeses. Anyway, hopefully this helps anyone who might be a user of this map to create this work environment. It's an excellent way to manage the data that we have, to be able to see things you can mail from this information. If we had used a electronic survey, you could just fill out the electronic survey and it would automatically add the information to the parcels individually. But I think that what we have, we probably want to go ahead in and start to indicate who is interested in hooking up, and then we don't have to do all the footwork with the permits and all of that because those will become irrelevant. But those folks that don't want to hook up and we do want to make sure they're compliant, we can use the permits to identify where the areas are at on the map. If they wanted to add this information themselves, or someone out in the field walking around could help them, that's how we would do it. So anyway, that is just a quick rundown on how to use this map. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video, and we will link this to the map so that it can be referenced later on.